everybody, Charlie Lane here with Derek Sanford from Grace Church in Erie, Pennsylvania. He is a die-hard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm assuming.
You're getting close, but yeah,
Close.
that's the local team. I'm a Seahawks fan.
We'll have to talk into that
Yeah,
dynamic.
but locally, the Steelers are fine.
All right, Derek, you were one of our breakout speakers. For those of us that weren't able to be a part of that conversation, give us the minute version of kind of what the crew talked through.
Yeah, so I talked about building your staff out of volunteer leaders, and I think it's just it's a reshift in how we think about church a little bit. Like it seems like for small churches and big churches alike, kind of the magic bullet is to say, man, if we can just hire more staff, we can get off the dime. If I can hire that youth pastor, if I can hire that worship pastor, that's going to push me forward. And we bumped up against that ceiling many times and just said, you know what, I think there's a different way to solve this. And began bringing unpaid volunteers onto our staff, treating them like staff, and it really changed the complexion of our church. What
was it that led to that pivot?
So I was at a whiteboard session with our staff a bunch of years ago. We were doing a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And we were sitting there, we got done, filled the whole board with my strategic leadership team, and somebody said, it was this unsettling feeling, like I'm not sure we captured it all. Somebody said, where would our people fit on that list? And it was this aha moment for us. It sounds very mundane, but it was this aha moment that said, they are actually our greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our people. They can have conversations we can't have. They can go places we can't go. They can do things we can't do. We just started leaning into that idea that our people are our greatest strength. And more than our children's ministry, more than our worship ministry, more than our small group ministry or whatever, if we could just lean into the calling of our people, God might do some fascinating things.
Phenomenal.
And He has.
Let's say you were talking to 2 or 3 guys that were either about to plant a church or had a small church that they were just rocking and rolling, but budget's tight, the weeks are short, the weekends keep coming. What is the right first step for folks to really get beyond their own contribution to say, I want to build a team out this way?
Yeah, I would say 2 things. I would say one is believe that people will say yes, because they will. And I think that's the first hurdle a lot of pastors need to get over, because they start saying no for people. Well, they can't do it because they're so busy, or they're at this stage of life, or they've got this going on, so they'll probably say no. And I'm here to tell you, we went into this doing some of that too. And the more we started asking and casting a big vision, don't apologize, well, it's not going to take you much time. Like, cast a big vision and go, I need you to step into this role. People will say yes. And so that's the first one, is honestly just to believe that it's possible. The other thing I would encourage young pastors, small church, just to get crystal clear on what it is that you can do for your church. What is your greatest contribution to your church? So is it preaching? Is it vision? Is it counseling? Is it what is your deal? And once you identify that, you can begin to piece together, what do I need to bring around me to kind of complete this picture? And it may be different. It may be different than the typical, worship pastor first, then the youth pastor, then the children's pastor, whatever. It may be different than that, because you may have a contribution that covers some of those things. And the thing that might relieve you and actually bring completion to kind of your team might be something totally different than that. You can solve those things a different way.
How has the model evolved, kind of like as the organization has grown? Like, how has the model changed or grown with it?
Yeah, so I mean, we're a big church now. We have 2/3 of our staff are unpaid.
Wow.
So 2/3 of the people in our staff room aren't getting a paycheck. And I think the thing, every church deals with volunteers. I mean, we all rely on volunteer leaders. I think the thing that we've tried to tap into, and this has grown and evolved, we've just tried to lift the lid off of what they can do in the church. And so we literally now have a volunteer who oversees our pastors. So he is our staff pastor. He's determining their salary. He's determining their days off. He's their boss. He's not getting paid, and they are. And so we've just tried to allow those volunteer leaders to kind of ascend to wherever their gifts will take them, and make space for them on our staff and treat them completely like staff.
It's probably important to note that gentleman is, even though he's volunteer, like he's not being paid, he's deeply qualified for that role.
Correct. Absolutely. And like I said, when I say we treat them like staff, we treat them like staff. Like we do performance reviews with him. He's a volunteer. We ask for vacation requests from him. So, he, in his mind, he's going, I'm allowed to go on vacation whenever I want. And we're like, no, you're a staff person. Yeah. Like, we need to know when you're away, just like we need to know when everyone else is away. And so we very much, he has a business card and an email address. And I mean, we treat him like a staff person.
Now let's say that you, being you right now, could go back 26 years ago and talk to the you 26 years ago planting that church. And you had 1 minute to talk to that young man. What was the one thing you would say to him?
Yeah, I think I would circle back to what I said at the beginning, is that don't think that paid staff are the magic bullet. Really. I mean, that is I think it's a trap that we get into to say, I can't grow this thing unless I have this person for this amount of money. Yeah. And I'm just convinced that the body of Christ is ready for a new model. I don't think that the superstar pastor, I think it's proven out that there's some flaws with that model. Right. And that if we can equip people, build around people, it gives every church an incredibly unique thumbprint, because now all of a sudden it's based around the gifts and strengths of this church. Yeah. And so really trying to convince myself not to wait on that next hire, but to invest in the people that are right in front of me.
Phenomenal. What's been the biggest mistake you made along the way?
I would say, this is going to sound weird, I would say not pulling the plug fast enough when I knew the fit was wrong.
Explain.
Even on volunteer leaders. So again, that's the subject we're talking about. So when I think about those kind of leaders, people will often ask me, can you fire a volunteer? The answer is yes. And I think we've given a lot of rope over the years just in trying to make it work when it was evident early on that it was a bad fit. Yeah. And I think I think every leader has a kind of a radar that goes off when you sense something isn't right. And I would say I let some dysfunction kind of settle in on our team for too long without